All right, in redraft leagues, who
Talk it
are
up.
we betting on a breakout from the running back position? These are guys
Come
who
on.
we think are not ranked high enough, that we think definitely are on track for breakout seasons ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to tell you why. I have someone that I've been talking about for a long time, so I think mine won't be a surprise, but Badake, I'll let you start first. Who do you think is going to be a breakout running back this year?
Yeah, absolutely. And it might sound weird, but it's Elijah Mitchell. And I know a lot of people saying, hey, he probably already broke out this past year. But let me tell you why I don't think he's technically still has broken out, okay?
Okay.
So his current ADP, RB25 according to community, that's about mid-7th round, early to mid-7th round, however you want to see it. He's currently my RB14, okay? And obviously, let me just start by saying Zach and I, we love this guy coming into last year's season. We thought he was a lot more talented than his teammate, which was Trey Sermon, and we was like, we thought immediately that Trey was going to be the guy. Trey Sermon was going to be the guy, and it's like, dang,
Sure.
Elijah Mitchell just went into this backfield and got lost. But that clearly wasn't the case this past year.
It's a lot easier for us to say that now that he's been successful, but it was true.
Yeah, it actually was true. Not to like toot our own horn or anything, but this past year, 226 total touches, over 1,100 yards, 6 touchdowns. He did miss 6 games. A very unexpected rookie season for him, averaging 19 touches, 4.7 yards per carry. And once again, you can argue that he was a breakout in 2021, but we didn't see the full season. He missed 6 games. And you're saying that he was a breakout. I mean, I don't think we can really say that, but I still believe he could break out in 2022. There's just
like what could have been, maybe.
Yeah, exactly what could have been. There's just more question marks now moving in with Elijah Mitchell, right? Obviously, the biggest thing was that Kyle drafted another running back in Tyron Davis-Price. That's not the death of Elijah Mitchell, and the reason that being is because how many teams have running back by committee? If there was a team that was pioneering the running back by committee, it was this team.
Sure.
It was Kyle, right? Teams running back by committee right now, I would argue saying Packers, Washington, Patriots, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, Dolphins, Texans, Cardinals, Falcons, and you can argue probably the Broncos, I guess, if Melvin does get the touches this year, however you want to see it. That's a lot of teams. I feel like it's nearly a quarter of the NFL, the league right now. And the second question mark is Debo. Is Debo really going to be taking touches in the backfield again? He already stated that he didn't want to take those touches. He wants to be a true wide receiver. We don't know what's going to happen. The expectation is that he is going to stay with the 49ers, at least right now for me. I think he will resolve. The 49ers and him will resolve, and he will get paid. I just think that he would really want to say, hey, I want to stay in this role. I want to be the wide receiver, which is fine. Yeah. And the third question mark is, how much is Trey Lance really going to take away from this backfield? He's going to take a lot of touches away from Elijah Mitchell. Is he going to take a lot of goal line touches away from Elijah Mitchell? We don't know, and obviously there's a lot of high expectation for Trey Lance, but at the moment, I think we just had to go with what we know, and that's Elijah Mitchell was getting the ball, right? So, in my opinion, I think what we need to think and what we need to see is that what we saw from Elijah Mitchell, once again, 19 touches per game. There was a little span there where he was getting 23 plus touches per game. And this team is very talented. Debo, Brandon Ayuk, Trey Lance, George Kittle. There's a lot of people and a lot of things that the defense needs to focus on outside of Elijah Mitchell. All right. And I know you're saying, well, this running back is stacked. This running back room is, there's a lot of people, a lot of mouths to feed. Jeff Wilson and Jermichael Hastings, Price, Trey Sermons. These guys, we haven't seen them be successful. Obviously Jeff Wilson was hurt the majority of the season and Elijah Mitchell got the opportunity. But I feel really confident right now saying that Elijah Mitchell is a low-end RB2. And, one thing I can think of, Zach, was when you actually drafted him and he fell to you and you already had 2 running backs. It's how people are valuing him, where I believe that he can be an enormous steal in those drafts. I forgot. I don't know who I think it was like Cam and Travis Etienne or not Cam, or Etienne and Dobbins you had, and then he fell to you in like the 8th round in our dynasty startup with our community. And it was just too much for a guy that can be a high-end mid RB2. Like,
sure,
why would you give up on someone like that? But if you can get him at the RB3 price, oh my gosh, I'm doing that every single day. I think that mid-round value is absolutely fantastic. As you know, I love to say absolutely fantastic. So Elijah Mitchell, once again, we probably haven't seen the breakout. We saw a glimpse of the breakout, but imagine if he can play every single game in this season. I mean, I think my guy can definitely break
Sure.
top 15.
Yeah, I was going to say the last thing that you talked about there was Trey Lance. That's what worries me more than anything, if I'm honest, because Trey Lance's upside is kind of, and again, I'm not saying he's going to be this player, so please hear me out. But his upside is to be a Josh Allen type player in the NFL. And that's someone who does rush the ball a lot, who does take touchdowns away from their running back. So that's the only thing that worries me about him. I'm not worried about Terrion Davis-Price, although I do like him. I'm not worried about Debo. Trey Lance is what worries me, but I like the confidence there. And I do agree he's a great value at running back 25 right now in ADP. All right, so my breakout is no surprise. I have been screaming this guy's name in our Dynasty channel, in our redraft channel, and every opportunity I get, I probably should just get a tattoo of him because I pretty much staked my reputation on this guy. Unfortunately, got injured last year. That is Travis Etienne.
Right.
Current ADP, he is the running back 23. In my rankings, I have him as the RB 16 in PPR redraft formats this year. My RB 16. All right. Let me tell you why he's going to break out. And I've said some of this before, but it's all I can really tell you at this point. Number one is he is and was an elite prospect, an elite running back prospect. Elite, not a good prospect, not a very above average prospect. He was an elite prospect, and that's what we need to look at this point. I actually preferred Etienne over Najee as a prospect going into last year.
Right.
Four-year starter over there at Clemson. He averaged 7.2 yards per carry at Clemson, and he had a lot of carries. That's very impressive. He had an NCAA FBS record for the most career games scoring a touchdown. He had a bunch of records in the ACC, including he currently holds the ACC record for rushing yards, total touchdowns, rushing touchdowns, points. This is a running back who could literally score on any touch. I've said this before, but there's one player he reminded me of watching his film. Badake, who was it?
Alvin Kamara.
Alvin Kamara, right. I really do think he reminds me of Alvin Kamara. And as a prospect, I think he was an even better prospect than what Alvin Kamara was out of Tennessee. And let me ask you a question. Are you looking for the next PPR king? We always talk about these guys. It was Swift last year, right? It was Najee last year because he had so much work from Big Ben. Are you looking for the next PPR king, the Leonard Fournette? Well, Etienne had more receptions and more receiving yards in his last college season than the following players, okay? Alvin Kamara, CMC. That's right, CMC. DeAndre Swift, Najee Harris, Austin Eckler, Aaron Jones, Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Zeke, Breece Hall, obviously Kenneth Walker. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I actually, when I originally was researching Etienne for the season, I looked and I tried to find a prospect that had more receiving work than him in his last season. I think the only player I could find right now is Kenneth Gainwell, okay? But he wasn't really used as a traditional running back in college. But, I mean, as far as like elite prospects, there's not an elite prospect that had more receiving work in college than Travis Etienne.
Right.
Talked about this before. He is linking back up with his old teammate, Trevor Lawrence. By the way, who positioned the running back position, he targeted the running back position 92 times last year. There wasn't a single running back in that room that you really wanted to target. Let's be honest. James Robinson, very good physical running back. You don't necessarily want to target him all that much, but there wasn't many options either, to be fair. 92 times he targeted the running back position. And we're looking at an offense this year where Travis Etienne automatically steps in, and he is the most talented non-quarterback offensive player on this team, automatically, okay? So he should get a ton of work in this offense. This is not a team who is tanking. This is not a team who is okay to lose games. This team wants the best players on the field helping them win games. They want to show that Doug Peterson can be the head coach, that Trevor Lawrence can be the future franchise quarterback, and that this team can win games, that they're going in the right direction, okay? And the biggest thing that worried people last year was James Robinson. Well, I'll be honest with you guys. I don't know that James Robinson plays this year. I'll be honest. There's a lot of people who are drafting him in redraft leagues as if he's going to play. He got that Achilles injury really late into the season.
Yeah.
And historically, we have not seen people recover from that injury very well, or in the timeline that Cam Akers did. Okay. So if James Robinson plays this year, it's going to be at least halfway through the season.
Right.
And what will Etienne's value be at that time? So for me, I'm not worried about James Robinson. We're not even sure if he's going to be the same player after that injury. We're not sure that he's even going to play. I think that's a big reason why they drafted someone like Snoop Connor, if they want a big physical back at times in that backfield. And then lastly, the signing of Brandon Sheriff, which was massive for Washington the last however many years he's been there. It's been a pretty decent running back room as far as fantasy goes. And Brandon Sheriff was a huge part of that line. 13th ranked guard according to PFF last year. So look, Etienne for me, I see money signs. I've said this before about other players, Kyle Pitts, for example.
Yeah.
I see money signs, okay? And I'm going to take a bold leap here and say Etienne, if he stays healthy, lock him in for top 8 in targets amongst running backs. I want to officially go on record and say that he can finish top 8. He will finish, if he stays healthy, top 8 in targets amongst running backs. And if he can do that, it will be very difficult for him not to finish higher than where I currently even have him ranked. So I think a top 12 finish is very much on the cards for Travis Etienne if all goes right this year.
Top 8 in targets, people. You heard it here first. Zach's taking that flag and saying, you know what? I see you in the top 8. Look, we love Travis Etienne. Something special could happen. One thing I always worried about Travis is that organization. It's so tough to really trust that organization. But hey,
James Robinson was able to finish as a top 12 guy, and the organization was in an even worse place.
And maybe there's something special that's going to happen. One thing I wanted to say, I know I said RB 14 for Elijah Mitchell. I think that was my dynasty rankings. I actually have my RB 20, so just wanted to clarify that. This is a redraft channel, obviously, so kind of get that mixed up. But yeah, RB 20 for me for Elijah Mitchell. But other than that, I love Etienne. I love Elijah Mitchell. Yeah.
All right. Let us know in the comments below. Is there a running back that you think is going to break out this year? And tell us why.
Yo, what's good? Thanks for watching. We got a lot more videos.
A lot more.
If you want more videos.
Watch it.
You can also subscribe.
Right now.
If you want to.
You need to.
And lastly, don't forget that you can sign up to support the show and get exclusive content by going to patreon.com/FantasyLand fam.